gaming backlog, a gauntlet of games for any epic gamer, like yours truly, to try and conquer. I started my backlog in December of 2022, and I played a total of versus a total count of now assuming that you're in the 0.000000095% of people that watched my previous video, you wouldn't know that I had another backlog video on the first 3 Half-Life games. But if you're in the 99.9999915% of people who didn't watch my previous video, you don't need to watch the previous video to understand this one. Which all I did was yap about Half-Life, but totally still watch that video to be a real pro gamer video watcher. But while you're here, why don't we talk about a game that I was extremely excited to play. So why don't we engage into this video. Fire Emblem Engage, the newest mainline game in the Fire Emblem series, is the most anime thing I've ever experienced, and yet there's still so much I've forgotten about this game. Also thanks to Toolbox for the gameplay clips. Fire Emblem Engage has so many cool features that feel like they would come together very nicely if implemented properly. It has a unique cast of characters, which I've seen different people have a specific character that they rely on greatly. For example, the person who you're watching the gameplay right now really liked Lewis. I've seen other people who like Yunaka, but personally, except not personally, Alfred was my goat. I mean, look at this. Only the one and only Alfred could put that off. Yeah! The level design was cool. With stages such as grass, sand, and castle. I promise you they're cooler than I was telling them to be. The last thing that I thought the game did especially right was the emblem rings, with some alright ones like Leaf, Ike, and Corin. Oh yeah, not really forgetting here. Woo! Fire Emblem Engage has a fairly fun gameplay loop, but I feel like there's more that they could have done to make it less repetitive, as despite interesting stage layouts, most of your gameplay is just going to be playing for Engage Mode. Engage Mode is a power-up they can give to a unit, increasing most stats by a large margin for 3 turns. Usually the unit's appearance to resemble the ring that they engage with, and by granting one super attack in a cutscene. This is a wonderful idea, but it makes the rest of the game a bit shallow. Constantly waiting for your fairly common Engage ring to charge up. But with all this, it would still be a bit interesting. Not even that bad. But they had to screw up this game's combat somehow. Meet the Time Crystal, the bane to my existence. This little gremlin is given to you after the tutorial, so you have it for the whole game. But what does it do? Well, if the name didn't make it obvious enough, it lets you rewind time. You are limited to 10 time rewinds on harder difficulties, but even that kind of sucks. This removes all risks from the game, because if anything bad happens to your party, just rewind time. It removes so much challenge and strategy from this strategy video game. You can say that I could, not use it, which I did. But then how am I gonna complain about this video game? Now, the gameplay of this game is flawed, but not bad. Let's see the story. Yeah! What the hell happened? The story is so bad. Very light spoilers ahead. So watch out. Throughout the entire game, everyone refers to you as the Divine Dragon, or the Divine One, but just caters to the protagonist. And the protagonist character is the worst. Not only is the protagonist extremely bland, it feels like Allier goes through no character progression throughout the entire game. None of these characters feel 3D at all. Now, I might be a bit biased about all this, so why don't we ask an expert of Fire Emblem Engage and war itself. So, the average communist. You are a big fan of anime, right?
Oh yeah. I watch all the animes like Breaking Bad, Oppenheimer, 2001: A Space Odyssey, Stalker. All the good animes.
Yeah, classic. And classic,
classic.
Owner of the Switch, the Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, I've stolen one from a homeless person before. Got a solid 40 minutes of gameplay out of it. So yeah, pretty good kindling, pretty tasty.
Not bad. So obviously, with all those two things combined, you're the perfect player of Fire Emblem Engage, correct?
Oh yeah. I've played Fire Emblem Engaged. I've got 800,000 hours.
Wow. What's your favorite part of that game? Because there's so much variety.
Yeah. So I really liked when the fire emblem like engages.
That was my favorite part too. Oh my gosh.
Hey, the is my turf cheat.
This is your turf.
And if you don't know how to floss, you'll be lost without me.
My goodness. You see? He had no idea what he's talking about. Okay, I gotta stop. I'm getting all animated out. Why don't we have a talk about a series that I've always liked? Why don't we look at a game of justice and chivalry? Shovel Knight, released in 2014, is an indie Metroidvania that was a smash hit, and even to this day having a fairly high amount of people playing it. But what makes it so good? Shovel Knight is truly masterful in its movement, and everything from running to jumping to your shovel slash feels immaculate. Even though I was about negative 25 years old when the NES games came out, I can really see the inspiration to those old NES classics, like the downward shovel plunge from Zelda 2. The boss fights are extremely fun, with some ones that stick out like Spectre Knight, Sticker Knight, Propeller Knight, and goddamn Kratos from God of War in the PS4 version.
This boot is a cake.
Even with its pixel art style, this game looks beautiful. Its unique method of using 2D backgrounds truly pops out, and a soundtrack that is going to be probably my favorite chiptune soundtrack ever, with it not feeling held back by its style. This game is phenomenal, but there's one small thing that I believe is holding it back greatly. Shovel Knight has an item system that I don't believe is all too bad, but there's one item that stands proud above the rest, the strongest. Can you tell us watching JJK War reading the script? The Phase Locket. The Phase Locket is a valuable item that grants invincibility, costing a low amount of magic. Sound familiar? Honestly, if we're playing this game, it's not too hard to not use the stupid locket. Hopefully the next game doesn't have a game-breaking item. That would be the worst. Shovel Knight Plague of Shadows, released in 2015, is a kind of DLC, kind of sequel, kind of side mode to Shovel Knight. In this campaign, you play as a fourth boss in Shovel Knight, Plague Knight. You go through slightly altered levels from Shovel Knight, with a completely different set of moves. Yeah, Plague Knight is kind of like Luigi if Luigi could make illegal potions, fly, and Ozimo. Plague of Shadows, despite not being insanely different from Shovel Knight, is still fairly fun and unique, even right after playing Shovel Knight, with an engaging story and potions to upgrade and play around with. And I have some wonderful news. They added an invincibility item, which is designed masterfully. The Smoke Bomb is an invincibility item that sends a small cloud of smoke in the direction that you send it in. As like you stay in this cloud of smoke, you are invincible. Throughout my playthrough, I use this item fairly frequently, using it as a breather to strategize my next course of action. I think this fits well with the franticness of Plague Knight's moveset. Plague of Shadows isn't perfect, however, with one fairly large issue that really bugged me. The movement in this game is what I can only describe as slippery. This isn't all too bad compared to other platformers and Metroidvanias. With the precise platforming and me playing it right after Shovel Knight, it can be a bit jarring. I also for some reason decided to use the armor priest that said it may be tough to control, so this very well could be my fault. Damn. Overall, I put Fire Emblem Engage here, Shovel of Hope here, and Plague of Shadows here. But, according to the famous critics of Metacritic.com, Plague of Shadows is good because of its jumping puzzles, Este Juego hasta Sombre Volcaldo, and Fire Emblem Engage is extremely expensive. The greedy developers are charging $60 for a turn-based game with Unity? Are you freaking kidding me? The Unity engine should